You were never afraid of failure. Not really. What you were afraid of was what failure meant, that it meant you weren't good enough, that it meant you were behind, that it meant maybe you just didn't have what it takes, so you avoided it, not consciously. But in small, quiet ways, you delayed starting, you told yourself you needed more time, more clarity, more motivation. You said, I'll begin tomorrow, but tomorrow kept moving, and deep down you knew why. Because the moment you truly tried, you risked finding out the truth, and that terrified you. So instead, you stayed in the middle, not failing, but never really trying either. Days passed, then weeks, then months, and your life didn't fall apart. It just stayed the same. And that's what made it dangerous, because nothing hurts more than a life that looks fine on the outside, but feels empty on the inside. You'd wake up, scroll your phone, tell yourself today would be different. But somehow it never was. You'd feel a spark of motivation sometimes late at night when everything was quiet. You'd think about the life you wanted, the version of yourself you could become, disciplined, focused, respected, someone who actually follows through. And for a moment, it felt real, like you were close. But then morning came, and with it doubt, that voice again. Who are you kidding? You've tried before. You always quit. And just like that, the spark disappeared, and you went back to what was easy, comfortable, safe. But here's the part you didn't notice. Every time you avoided failure, you were also avoiding growth. Every time you chose comfort, you were choosing to stay the same. And slowly, without realizing it, you started building a life you didn't even want. Not because you were lazy, not because you lacked potential, but because you misunderstood failure. You thought failure was the enemy, when in reality, it was the path. There's something no one tells you early enough. Failure doesn't destroy you, your reaction to it does, because failure by itself is neutral. It doesn't mean anything until you give it meaning, and you gave it the worst possible meaning. You made it personal, you made it final, you made it proof that you shouldn't try again, proof that you're not capable, proof that it's not for you. And that's where everything started to break, because the moment you believe failure defines you, you stop moving forward, you stop taking risks, you stop putting yourself out there, and without realizing it, you start shrinking your own life. But think about it, every person you admire, every person you look up to, every person who achieved something meaningful failed, not once, not twice, but repeatedly. The difference is they didn't see failure the way you do. They didn't take it as a signal to stop. They took it as feedback, as direction, as part of the process. And that's the shift you've been missing, because the truth is you're not behind, you're not incapable. You're just interpreting your experiences the wrong way. And that interpretation is costing you years. Imagine this, 5 years from now, you're older, not drastically, but enough to feel it, enough to realize time passed faster than you expected. You're sitting somewhere quiet, thinking, and suddenly it hits you. All those moments you could have started, all those times you said later, all those chances you had but didn't take, they're gone. And the worst part, you can't even say you tried. You can't say you gave it everything. You can't say you pushed through, because you didn't. You stopped at the first sign of discomfort, at the first sign of failure. And now you're left with something heavier than failure itself. Regret, the kind that doesn't fade easily, the kind that stays in the back of your mind, reminding you of what could have been. And that's when you realize something painful. You didn't lose because you failed. You lost because you were too afraid to fail again. And that realization changes everything, because now you see it clearly. Failure was never the thing holding you back. Fear was. The fear of being judged, the fear of being wrong, the fear of not being enough. But here's what you didn't understand before. That fear doesn't go away by waiting. It doesn't disappear with time. It only disappears when you face it, when you walk straight into it, when you do the thing you've been avoiding. Not perfectly, not confidently. But anyway, that's how people change. Not in one big moment, but in small decisions. Decisions that feel uncomfortable, decisions that don't guarantee success, decisions where failure is possible, because that's where growth lives. On the edge of uncertainty, on the other side of hesitation, and yes, you will fail again. That's not a possibility, that's a guarantee. But this time, it won't break you. Because this time, you'll understand it. You'll see it for what it really is. A step, not a stop sign, a lesson, not a judgment. And slowly, something inside you will start to shift. You'll stop fearing failure and start expecting it, even welcoming it, because you'll know every time it happens, you're getting closer to clarity, closer to strength, closer to becoming someone different, someone who doesn't quit easily, someone who doesn't run from discomfort, someone who keeps going even when it's hard. And that's when your life begins to change. Not because everything becomes easy, but because you become stronger, because now you're not avoiding the process, you're embracing it, you're showing up even when you don't feel like it, you're trying even when you're unsure, you're continuing even after failing. And that's rare. That's what separates people. Not talent, not luck, but persistence. The ability to keep moving forward when everything inside you wants to stop. So if you're standing at that point right now where you're tired of starting over, where you're tired of failing, where you're thinking about giving up, understand this. You're closer than you think, not because you've figured everything out, but because you're aware of the pattern, aware of the cycle, aware of what's been holding you back. And awareness is where change begins. From here, it's not about being perfect. It's not about never failing again. It's about one simple decision: to try again, to not let this be the moment you stop, to not let fear make the choice for you. Because no one is coming to save you. No one is going to suddenly give you confidence. No one is going to remove failure from your path. That's not how it works. Your life changes the moment you take responsibility for it fully, without excuses, without waiting, without needing everything to feel right. You just move forward, even if it's slow, even if it's messy, even if it's uncertain, because that's how progress looks in real life. Not perfect, not clean, but real. And one day you'll look back at this version of yourself, the one who was scared, the one who hesitated, the one who almost gave up, and you'll be glad you didn't stop here. You'll be glad you pushed through. You'll be glad you pushed through. You'll be glad you failed and kept going, because that's what built you. That's what shaped you. That's what made you capable of becoming more. So stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop waiting for confidence. Stop waiting to feel ready. You won't. Not fully, not ever. You just have to start. And when you fail, because you will, don't make it mean something it doesn't. Don't turn it into a reason to quit. Turn it into a reason to adjust, to learn, to come back stronger. Because in the end, your life won't be defined by how many times you failed. It will be defined by how many times you refuse to stay down. And right now, you have a choice. You can go back to what's easy, to what's familiar, to what keeps you safe but stuck. Or you can step forward into discomfort, into uncertainty, into growth. One path feels better now, the other builds a better future. And deep down, you already know which one matters. So the only thing left is this: what are you going to do next?